I've got to the point where I don't care about kissing my boyfriend in public. And if somebody has a problem with me kissing my boyfriend in public, well then that's their problem, not mine. Hey folks, it's Finn. Welcome back, lovely people, and thank you for tuning in to another video. As you can see, I finally fixed my wall behind me so it's no longer falling down and all your lovely cards are back on it. My partner and I, Chris, have just celebrated 3 years together, and in today's video I wanted to do a bit of a reflection on a video I made 3 years ago, back in 2018, where I talked about being afraid to hold my partner's hand in public. I was very newly out as gay and very much feeling the anxiety of being a visible gay man. So in today's video, I want to reflect now that it's 3 years since then and 3 years of being out and visible as gay, and reflect on how I feel today. But before we get stuck in, a huge welcome if you are new to my content. My name is Finn, and here on my channel I create content on gender transition, LGBT life, mental health and recovery. I very much share my own experience of those things, as well as practical advice on all those topics too. So if you enjoy my content and you haven't yet subscribed, I would love it if you would, because it really does help to support my channel. Just hit that button here and click the notification, then you won't miss out on all of the regular Finstalments. So regular viewers will know that I struggled for many years to work out that I was gay. And yes, I'm aware that it's now quite laughable that I even ever questioned it. I think this is a common thing for us trans folk, because it's impossible really to know who you are attracted to if you don't first know who you are. And then once you do know who you are, it can take a while to feel comfortable in our own skin in order to then feel comfortable to be intimate with somebody else. And that's very much my experience. It was really midway through my gender transition that I started to be aware that actually there was a growing attraction to men, which I think had really always been there. I was just in denial because I just couldn't handle the thought of being a gay man. Now, I've spoken many times about the huge multi-layered reason for me being in such denial about my gayness, but the huge kind of part of it was for me about not being visible. In my previous incarnation as a lesbian, I spent my whole life visible. I was a very different looking woman because I was quite tomboyish. You know, growing up in the 80s, being a kind of very masculine looking woman, being attracted to other women just wasn't acceptable. You know, it's far more acceptable now, but it really wasn't back then. And so I've grown up feeling different, feeling stared at, actually being stared at, actually having things shouted at me for being queer. And when I went through my gender transition and I started to be read correctly, it was this amazing thing that happened where I became invisible. And I'd never had the experience of just being a person and not visible. This was such a profound experience, and it was so freeing to just be an average bloke on the street who nobody even gave a second glance to. It was just incredible. And then I realised I was gay. So yes, a huge part of my struggling with being gay was because I didn't want to go back to having to look over my shoulder when kissing my partner in public, or even just holding their hand. And for me, there was definitely more of a danger in being a gay man than there was in being a lesbian. As a lesbian, I was usually just heckled in the street, but as we all know, historically, it's men, gay men, that tend to be attacked more than gay women. And so I had all of these fears in coming out, and a lot of sadness. I mean, I read an article at the time I came out about the percentage of people who were still afraid to hold their partner's hand in public when they were gay. And I was just brokenhearted to be in this beautiful new relationship and want to be with my partner everywhere and not worry, and yet to feel I had to go back to hiding. And I just got over a load of shame around sex and sexuality, and I felt like I was being pushed back into this place of having to be ashamed for something that we have no reason to be ashamed about. I mean, it wasn't that I dwelled on it. It didn't stop me in the end coming out, because I just got to the point where I was like, this is who I am. I spent too many years being somebody I'm not. I've gone through transition. I'm not going to go through all of that and then still deny an aspect of who I really am. So I came out, I met the lovely Chris, as you all know, and we're now engaged to be married and everything. It's just this beautiful, incredible love story. You know, it's amazing. I'm so happy. It was just at the time, although I was accepting all of that, there was like a loss and a sadness again of that loss of invisibility and that loss of freedom to just be the same as every other couple on the street. I watch other couples when we're sat having dinner, and just the ease of which they can hold hands across the table and gaze into each other's eyes and no one bats an eyelid, whereas I'm very aware that when me and my partner do take risks and do that, I can see it at the corner of my eye, people looking, people nudging, people turning their noses up. It makes me really, really sad to be back on this side of the fence where who I love is judged as wrong. Hurts deeply. Really, really does. And how do I feel now? Well, it is undeniably still true that gay people are still not seen as equal to heterosexual people. There is still a huge difference between being gay and doing gay. Yes, we've come a huge way forward in terms of accepting of gay people, of teaching about gay relationships and all of these things. And lots of people will say, oh, I'm very accepting, love who you want to love. But then when it comes to actually seeing two men or two women kiss, lots of people will stare, whether it's the novelty factor, whether it's because of disgust or one thing or the other. It's still not seen as just as normal as being heterosexual. And we see this all the time in the rhetoric, in the media. For example, not that long ago, there was a Cadbury's Cream egg advert where two men, for a brief second, if that, swap a cream egg from one mouth to the other. And there was uproar about it. But on the same day, there was a headline in the newspaper for a show that was on television, and it was all about steamy sex shows are really amazing. So you have straight sex, which is celebrated, and when there's a brief second of intimacy between two gay men, there is uproar. And people start saying things like, oh, people can love who they want, but do they have to throw it in our faces? Really? So it's undeniable that this is still happening. Absolutely it is, and we've got a long way to go. But with me personally, I no longer me and Chris commonly walk down Eastbourne seafront hand in hand. And do we get looked at? Absolutely. And sometimes you can see that that look is a bit of a, oh my God, that's two gay men, look away, look away. Or it's that really kind of cute smile, oh, look at them. Which of course is nice. Out of the two, I prefer it when people give us a cheeky smile as a way of kind of going, oh, that's really lovely that they're free to do that. But it still kind of highlights the point that it's different, because you don't walk past a straight couple on the street holding hands or kissing and kind of go, oh, or whatever. You just don't, do you? And that's the thing. But I no longer feel in danger. I suppose there are certain times, if it's late at night or we walk past some pretty loud people who are drinking, we might drop hands because we just don't want to put ourselves at any risk. But I don't feel as in danger as I once did. And I think when I spoke about it last time, it wasn't really so much that I felt in danger. It's just I feel that I am judged all the time, that I will always be looked at for being a gay man. So it's more the disapproving stares or the different stares that just impact and remind me on a daily basis that my partner and I are different than the norm. But the most important thing over these 3 years is I really don't give a monkeys. You know, it's just what it is, and it no longer stops me. You know, if we want to say goodbye in public, I kiss him. I'm never one for like really standing in the street and kind of French kissing, tongue down someone's throat. That makes lots of people feel awkward. But I'm talking about just like the normal kind of like hugging someone goodbye and kissing them on the lips. You know, just those kind of things. And I'm aware at the corner of my eye that if I've been looked at for doing that, but it no longer makes me kind of feel as bad as it once did. And I think what's really changed about how I feel now is invisibility. Me? Invisible? I don't think so, darling. I've never really been somebody that blends into the background as much as I might have always fantasised about that being the case for me in my life. It's just not the way I am, and I love my visibility as a transgender man and as a gay man and as an alcoholic in recovery and as somebody who lives with complex mental health challenges. My visibility is what gives me power. It's what helps me to affect change, you know, to stand up for other people who are the same as me and to make a difference in the world. And I love doing that. So for me, being visible is a gift now. And I think I just needed time to really embrace myself before I was ready to be properly, really hugely visible again. Because it's just so vulnerable when you're coming out as trans and you're just starting to be read correctly and you're fed up of people judging. So it was a nice period of time, but then once I became very comfortable in my maleness and I don't care about how flamboyant I am and what people judge about me, with that happening, all wants of being invisible have gone now, you know. I just love being who I am, and that's why I transitioned. I transitioned to being me, and I don't care what anyone else thinks. That's the whole point, isn't it? For all of us, really, not just trans people. It's for all of us to be the people that we want to be without taking what other people think of us to heart and living for them, because why should we live for anybody else? We live for us, don't we? So that's my little soapbox rant about how I feel compared to back then. I will link to that video so you can rewatch it. It's been really interesting for me to rewatch it and see just how much has changed from kind of like quite a shy, just kind of finding myself person to this flamboyant, obviously gay man now that really doesn't care. So yeah, so many things have happened in the 3 years of mine and Chris's relationship, and I'm proud to be with him openly every single day, as we all should be. I am a very, very, very lucky transgender gay man. I'd be really, really interested to hear your thoughts on this. I do think we have an extra layer when we're trans and gay. I think there's lots of other things to navigate, and I've spoken about this many times. I will link you to a playlist about all of my exploring, embracing my gay self as a trans man. But I'd be really interested to hear what anyone else has experienced around this. You know, are you gay? Are you cis and gay, trans and gay? How do you feel about being in public and public displays of affection and how that impacts you? I'd really like to know, so do drop me a comment. But before I sign off, I just want to give a cheeky little plug for myself, because I talk all the time about blowing our own trumpet. So right now, I'm going to blow my own. I have just been nominated for the Positive Role Model Award in the National Diversity Awards. And this has come just a week after publishing my very first book. So I've been really overwhelmed with this. It's just incredible. And so many of you have left such lovely votes and nominations for me, and I'm so incredibly touched. If you do want to vote for me, I will leave a link below to where you can do that. And voting is the same as nominating. I don't know why they do it like that, but vote, nominate is the same thing. And if you'd like to vote for me, I would really appreciate that. Love you folks so much. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on social media during the week and here next Tuesday for your next video. Take care of yourselves, folks.